my colleagues, good morning to all of you. The Honorable Minister of Regional Development, Honorable Engineer Abubakar Momo, fellow Nigerian Society of Engineers. The Honorable Minister of State, Regional Development, His Excellency Uba Maigali Ahmadu. The Honorable Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Mukhtar Maiha. The two permanent secretaries of the Ministry of Regional Development and Ministry of Livestock Development, the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, heads of agencies under the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Ministry of Livestock Development, Ministry of Regional Development, directors of the three ministries here present. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this second edition of the 2025 Ministerial Press Briefing, which, as you know, was kick-started about a week ago by my humble self. In that process, I highlighted some of the key successes of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda. I therefore want to use this medium to commend the media for your untiring effort in providing effective coverage during this ministerial press briefing, and indeed for all programs and policies of government. The media have remained an invaluable partner in our strives to continue to update Nigerians on the laudable achievements of the Tinubu administration. I urge the media to ensure that these press briefings are reported with the utmost care, fairness, and accuracy. We urge you to please shun sensationalism in the reporting of government policies and programs. Of course, criticisms and disagreements are always welcome. They are a healthy part of our democratic processes. But misinformation, disinformation, and fake news have absolutely no place in our democratic journey. As you have seen today, we have with us the Honorable Minister of Regional Development and that of Livestock Development, of course, with the Honorable Minister of State also for Regional Development. These two ministries happen to be the newest ministries created in the country by President Tinubu. The Ministry of Livestock Development was created in July of 2024 to transform Nigeria's multi-billion-dollar livestock potential into actual economic prosperity for Nigerians, while the Ministry of Regional Development was created in October 2024 to oversee the activities of the country's regional development commissions, again created by His Excellency the President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. These two ministries have since hit the ground running, the two ministers, and they are here today with us to shed more light on what they have been doing since the creation of their ministries and what Nigerians expect to see of them going forward. I would like to seize this opportunity to let Nigerians know that these ministerial press briefings will be given the widest possible coverage through both the traditional and the social media platform, as well as also ensuring that feedback mechanism is properly in place. Like I promised during the inauguration of the 2025 ministerial press briefing, this is one of the efforts of the Tinubu administration to ensure that Nigerians are always informed as accurately, as honestly, as transparently as possible about all programs and policies of government. And needless to say, we expect that the Nigerian media, indeed any other media organization, is expected to also report this with utmost care. The idea is that Nigeria is first for all of us. And whatever we do, the interest of our dear country is paramount. Once again, let me thank you most sincerely for finding it worthy, for your attention, and for also being here on time. For I promise that we will leave here in the next 1.5 hours. Each of these ministers will have 20 minutes to talk about his ministry, and then there will, of course, be an interactive session with the media so that you can interrogate, ask questions, or make clarifications or comments where necessary. Once again, let me thank you for coming, and I do want to promise that we will continue to bring at least 2 ministers every week to explain to Nigerians what they are doing in their various ministries from now up to May 29, when the administration will have clocked 2 years, meaning that we are at least in the midterm in the life of this administration. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening.
Please, a round of applause once again for the Honorable Minister of Information. While the Honorable Minister was speaking, the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Public Communication stepped into the room, the person of Mr. Sunday Dare. Please, a round of applause for him. Just to recognize the presence of the Director General, Nigerian Television Authority, Malam Abdulaziz Dembos. Without wasting any much time, we'll move to the presentation of the day. Kicking it off is no other than the Honorable Minister of Livestock Development, Mr. Mukhtar Meha. Please, a round of applause for him. I believe we can make the applause a bit louder.
My chief host, the indefatigable Minister of Information and National Orientation, the Minister of Regional Development, the Minister of State, Regional Development, my brother and in-law, my able permanent secretary, the permanent secretary of Ministry of Regional Development, the advisor to Mr. President on Information, other senior government officials here from the presidency, the DG NTA, other leadership of media organizations here present, CEOs of parastatals under these 2 ministries, directors from both ministries, my good friends in this progressive journey, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this maiden press briefing from the youngest ministry, I want to claim that title, and delivered by the pioneer Minister of Livestock, my humble self. The ministry was created, it's already been indicated by Mr. President, the first of its kind under the federal establishment since the independence of this country. Why was this ministry created? Many have raised concerns, and I'm sure this is a very, very valid concern. However, today it is common knowledge that the volume and value of the livestock sector in this country is about 33 trillion naira. And past administrations have been somehow blind to this value in the economy of this country. So it is a strategic vision of Mr. President to bring in that sector into the formal sector by way of modernizing it. What is the vision of this ministry? To build a resilient, sustainable, inclusive, and globally competitive livestock sector that drives economic diversification, economic growth, job opportunities, food and nutritious sovereignty, and improve livelihoods. Our mission is to implement innovative, inclusive, and sustainable policies, programs, and projects to address the livestock sector and make sure that the volume and value of businesses there are unlocked. Since the creation of the ministry, being first of its kind, we are in the process of being demerged from the mother Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. And today, we have been able to form a very, very solid team that have already started traversing the length and breadth of this country, meeting sub-regional governments, stakeholders, traditional rulers, development partners, and embassies in this country. That is all in an attempt to brand this ministry and to sensitize and raise awareness of the huge economic potentials that abound in that sector. We have gotten our decision tree, what you call an organogram, that have been approved, and from the 2 technical departments we inherited, 7 have been created, and therefore we have what it takes today to run this ministry, and this has been done in a record time. And therefore, these departments are already in the process of being populated with the requisite talents and those who possess the exposure and network to drive the activities of that ministry of the livestock ministry. I don't want to bore you down with the technical names of those departments, but however, suffice it to say that we are now solid on the ground. We play as any top league player. This sector has been steeped in traditional practices, traditional animal husbandry, with indigenous animal breeds whose performance are suboptimal. And this is common knowledge to everybody. And the concern here of Mr. President is to transform that industry into a modern, vibrant, sustainable, globally competitive sector. How do we do that? We do that by the following pillars. Number one, we are conscious of the genetic limitations of the animal species in the country. And therefore, we are embarking on a massive genetic upgrade. We are going to do this, however, in a very, very methodical manner. We are going to leapfrog the animal sector so that the productivity can be higher, just as at par with their own counterparts elsewhere. But we are also going to jealously guard our indigenous genetics. We are already talking with institutions of land in this country to create a gene bank where we can store all our local indigenous genetics, because they have been produced here, they are resilient, they are adaptive, they are resistant to diseases. Therefore, we don't want to wish them away. We are going to combine them, we are going to keep them, and do crossbreeding so that those elements of indigenous genetics are also preserved for future generations and future national growth. We are also in the ministry very, very conscious of the survival mechanism adopted by breeders and animal livestock breeders in the country. And therefore, top of an agenda is to be able to address the issue of feed and fodder. For us in the ministry, feed and fodder is livestock. If you don't have sufficient feed and fodder, you are not talking about livestock at all. We are conscious of this, and we have already started mapping out. In fact, we have gotten the inventory of all the grazing reserves in the country, both gazetted and ungazetted, running to about 417. Totally more than 5 million hectares of land. So we are going to focus our attention on those grazing reserves that are going to receive necessary infrastructure to receive the national herd. What I mean by national herd, all farmable animals will one day be settled in those grazing reserves where there will be sufficient infrastructure in terms of feed and fodder, water resources, infrastructure for the herders' families, schools, veterinary clinics, etc., so that they become, each one of those will become an economic hub. Already, we have gotten a very good commitment from our development partners to get into some of these reserves to assist us in developing those in structure. Each one of them is now going to become an economic hub for dairy processing, for beef, for commercial pasture growing, and for hide and skin. So this is what we are looking at. We are not also oblivious of the age-old cattle routes. Already we have digitized the cattle routes in this country. We have digitized also available dams. We have also digitized those grazing reserves. So at the click of the button, we are leveraging technology to ensure that we can see whatever is happening in all the grazing reserves nationwide. We are also conscious of the issue of data. The last National Livestock Census was done in 1991. We are conscious of that, and whatever figures we give today is based on extrapolations. But however, we will continue to adopt technology to ensure that we have the data that is relevant today, very creative, very robust, to capture all the animal resources we have in this country. We will do that to ensure that we also do a lot of tagging and tracing. So the incidences of cattle losses, either due to rustling or whatever form, will be easily traced. Already we have demonstrated the National Animal Identification Tagging System has already been launched, and we are going to go via that route to ensure that each animal in this country has an ear tag that can be traced. The technology is there, it is robust, it is available, and it's the only way we can do to know exactly where our herds are, where is the density, where are they going, where are we likely going to have a crisis points, then we can now nib it in the bud. Distinguished senior colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, we are also bent on creating the necessary environment for private sector participants. This ministry will work hand in hand with private sector people to develop the ministry. We are taking the poultry template that have succeeded by far out of all the other species, and that is the template we are going to apply to the rest of the livestock. And to herald this, you will have of our journey with Mr. President during the G20 summit in Brazil near de Janeiro, where on the sidelines we were able to visit a number of global players in the livestock industry in Brazil. And at the end of the day, we were lucky with Mr. President's presence there. We had a commitment from JBSSA, the biggest player in the red meat industry, to come to Nigeria and invest to the tune of $2.5 billion. And today, there is no testament to the vision of Mr. President that this singular investment commitment from the biggest player in Brazil. It heralds a global South cooperation, and as I'm talking to you, we are going to receive the next team to concretize this investment plan tomorrow here in Nigeria. We have also had a number of engagements with other private sector investors in this country, as well as international players. We have received a lot of presentations from many of the embassies in this country. We have received a lot of delegations of businessmen who want to come into the livestock sector and partner with us. Notably here, the US ambassador was with us, the ambassador of France, UK aid, Morocco, China, investments from the PRC in China, Mexico, just to mention a few. Yesterday, I was with a delegation from the French Embassy, Agency France Development. We had very robust discussions, as well as other giant players like Nestle, like Ala, like Danone. All of them came, each one wanted to take a piece of the action, because today that sector has been unlocked and open for business. An example of what is going to happen is what I want to say here next. The issue of red meat industry in this country. We have been getting a lot of appetite, very strong commitment for investors from the Middle East. However, we are not ready to key into that, simply because of the traditional slaughterhouses we have in this country that are not meeting the hygienic standards of international consumers. You would have probably seen pictures of our visit to the Amosun Central Abattoir in Ibadan. To say the least, that is not what red meat processing should be in this country. And already we have started engaging with a lot of investors in the red meat industry. We have taken an inventory of about 13 abattoirs in the country. Many of them are not functional. Many are under lock and key. We are talking with those investors, including the subnational governments, to get partners to start working on the backward integration, so as to ensure that satisfactory feedstock in terms of number of animals, as well as bulls, poultry, small ruminants, are secured in their prime age and body build, and have sufficient quantity for processing in these abattoirs. How do we do that? For us here, we are coming with a number of initiatives that will suit our economic and social dynamics, organizing outgrowers. We are coming up with initiatives on youth and women who are going to be involved in livestock businesses, including commercial pasture cultivation, as well as reviving the poultry sector. These are today the focus of the ministry in terms of democratizing animal businesses, agribusinesses, as it affects livestock. And we do believe that with the kind of reach out we have today, these programs are going to resonate across the country. That is our intention, and that's how we are going to do it. We are already talking with development partners, development banks that are ready to key into this robust program of organizing youth and women across the country. We call them initiatives, initiatives for women in livestock, initiative on youth in livestock. We have already reached out to some of these organizations that have already visited us, and this is the trajectory to go. Furthermore, we are also leveraging on what is happening today. We have two dominant institutes in the country. One is National Veterinary Research Institute in VOM, that is over 100 years old, but as it is today, it is not in any position because of the obsolescence of their technology and equipment to satisfy our requirement for vaccines across all the species. They are only able to give us 15% of our national requirement. And therefore, the intention of the ministry, already that institute has been studied. We have the report is conducted by McKinsey. We are going to embark on a full commercialization of NVRI so that they can be in the position to supply minimum 1.2 billion doses every year. And that will be across the board. Our concern here is about animal health and disease management. If you are not in the position to control and manage endemic diseases, zoonosis diseases, you cannot compete at the international market. And therefore, it is top on our agenda to put that institute in a proper position to be able to satisfy all our vaccine requirements across the species, from poultry to the camel, which is the tallest. It might interest us also to note that what is worrisome here is that we spend minimum $1.5 billion to import vaccines for animal resources in this country. That must be dented. We should be in the position to domicile that money inside this country by building the capacity of NVRI. At the moment, we are also looking at National Animal Production Research Institute, Shika ABU Zaria. We have already commissioned a group of talented and very, very progressive-looking Nigerians to study NAPRI and advise us on how to unbundle NAPRI so that they can address the yearnings of the sector. NAPRI, first station established 1928. It has gone under different statuses, but as of today, the way they are, we need to get in there and create a number of specialty areas where they can talk to the market, where they can go to Nigeria to answer the gaps in terms of research and development that are going to be marketable, that are going to be commercialized. So this is what we are looking at, and by the time we finish that, we will have a brand new NAPRI that is going to be reinvigorated and take the position of other research institutes that are today in the global south. If you look at today, the research institutes like Embrapa in Brazil, the ones in Cairo, in Egypt, Morocco, Botswana, and South Africa. These are supposed to be our peers, but they have gone far ahead. But our own intention today is to leapfrog. Research and science should be in the driving seat in this transformation. We are talking of our animals performing suboptimally. Our cows, mama cows, can only give 2 liters per day. Their counterparts are giving 30, 40 liters. Yes, of course, there are researches today where some organizations have done F1, F2 crosses that are today giving 50 liters per cow per day. We want to look beyond that, but we do believe that we have the energy and the resources to leapfrog this system so that our mama cows can give us minimum 30 liters per day. And the same goes for beef. The same goes for beef. Our bulls, today we eat aged bulls, 5, 6, 8 years old. The meat is already tough and it's only fibrous. Our intention today is to make sure that we have hybrid bulls at 30 months that can weigh 600 kg. And that is the slaughter weight. At 30 months, minimum 2.5 years. That's what we are looking at. That is our goal, and that is what we are going to do. We are also looking at holistically looking at the current contribution of livestock to GDP, which is a minimum of 5%. Our intention today is to be able to double that number in the not distant future so that at least we can have not less than 10% contribution of livestock to the GDP. That is a tall order, but we believe we can do it because we have the resources to do that. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the livestock sector is big enough. And I've just been told that my time is up. I have not spoken about the bee, I have not spoken about the rabbit, I have not spoken about the poultry in detail, I have not spoken about the pig, I have not spoken about the goats, I have not spoken about the sheep, I have not spoken about the cattle, I have not spoken about the donkey, the horse, and the camel. Now, these are the animal species under the ministry. And let me give you an example. Mr. Facilitator, just give me 2 more minutes plus 2. The abattoir we're talking about, let me unlock this to you. The abattoir you're looking at, if you take a cow, for instance, we want a legislation where every cow that is slaughtered in Abuja today is slaughtered under the controlled environment of an abattoir. If you do that, you get the hygiene. You are not sure of any contamination from any of the zoonosis. But the business angle is this. If you slaughter 200 cows in an abattoir, the blood will go to a blood bank. And that is a feedstock for fish millers. Each cow has 30 liters of blood. 30 times 200. Each liter is 1,000 naira. Today, without the abattoir, all that resources goes to waste. The solid waste, each cow has 30 kilograms of solid waste after you slaughter it. That will go to making biogas to fire that abattoir. And the excess can also be sent to the national grid. Under the same abattoir, if you debone it, you remove by hydraulic power the meat from the bones. You crush the bone into calcium that will go to animal feed. You remove the bone marrow and send it to pharmaceuticals. You remove the bile from the animal stomach and export it to China. The hoofs, the horns are also exportable, or you can crush them into calcium. You have 55% red meat. All those others that now go to waste, they are also value, as I have described. And that is the reason today, because we consider it as waste. That is why today meat is expensive, because the butcher only gains value from the red meat. These others goes to waste. But in this ministry today, our own position, and that's how we are going to raise the consciousness of Nigerians in the animal kingdom, there is no waste. There is no waste. And this is what is hidden in that livestock sector. And imagine the bulls, how many cows we are slaughtering today in this country. And half of what we are wasting in the abattoir or slaughtering all over the place means that we are not gaining that economic value. The hide and skin alone can create 700,000 jobs, about 23 billion naira value. But again, our slaughter process, where we cut the cow's neck and put kerosene on top of the skin to burn it, that is carcinogenic. Or use spent engine oil to burn the skin and scrape it because we feel that we want to eat the meat with the skin. That is not hygienic. It is cancerous. It is dangerous. Ask scientists about this. Even if it is cultural, it is poisonous. It is poisonous culture. Let's conclude it that way. So therefore, we are raising the conscience of people that some of these practices is what we want to bring to the fore, so that people can know that we are actually eating our own jobs by eating the skin. We are eating our own jobs, and we have our children walking the street looking for jobs, when already have cooked his job and they are eating it by eating these things. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, without sounding offensive about it, I want us to know the hidden value in the livestock sector today. If you process poultry, nothing goes to it. Even the feathers today are crushed into calcium, and some of them are exported. That is the trajectory of the ministry. That is what we are doing. That is the way to go. And we are here today asking investors to come and work with us so that we can realize the full value of what the ministry is intended to achieve. Therefore, honorable ministers, distinguished senior colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, we have a number of speeches here that I've not spoken about. But I do believe that this engagement will continue. I won't say everything here because our chief host has given me 20 minutes. That is not sufficient for the honeybee. But I've just decided to go across and then give you a nutshell, the menu today from the youngest ministry of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Ministry of Livestock. Once again, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, has unlocked the livestock sector, which offers multidimensional progress for everybody.
I believe we can make the applause a bit louder. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think the Honorable Minister of Livestock Development has done justice to that presentation. And if there is anything I'm taking away from this meeting is that, Honorable Minister, I'll have to reduce the amount of pomo I consume. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Quickly, the Ministry of Livestock Development has a 5-minute video presentation to make. Please just listen attentively. We'll make this video available to the press after the close of this event. Thank you very much.
Purchase your tracks today.
Against the backdrop of incessant farmers-herders clashes, the dwindling fortunes in the nation's livestock production over the years, as well as overriding need to develop and modernize livestock production, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took the bold step by establishing the first ever Ministry of Livestock Development on July 9, 2024.
Why should Nigeria continue conflict of the caliber of people that is here? This presents a unique opportunity also to delineate and establish a separate ministry called the Ministry of Livestock Development. We developed the economy.
The idea gained momentum following the Conference on Livestock Reforms to mitigate farmers-herders conflict held on February 13, 2023, sponsored by the Kano State Government under His Excellency Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje and chaired by Professor Atahiru Jega, which held at the NAF Conference Center in Abuja. The conference recommended the establishment of the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development, as captured in its blueprint report and conference communique later adopted by the Presidential Committee on Livestock Development. Thus, the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development was tasked with reforming the sector, resolving conflicts, and positioning livestock as a major contributor to national economic growth. The ministry has a mandate for the formulation, implementation, and monitoring of livestock development and animal health policy programs, development of grazing reserves, ranches, pastoral initiatives, and conflict mitigation strategies, establishment of efficient national animal health management services, development and maintenance of livestock sector infrastructure to support sustainable growth, and the promotion of public-private sector investment in the livestock value chain, amongst others. In order to give effect to the takeoff of the new ministry, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on the 10th of July 2024, deployed the pioneer permanent secretary of the ministry, Dr. Chinyere Ijeoma Akujobi, to set up the machinery for effective takeoff.
The National Livestock Growth Acceleration Strategy, NLGAS 2025 to 2030, is a well-designed plan that has been put in place by the ministry under the leadership of the Honorable Minister to address key challenges in the sector. The plan has 10 key intervention areas. We call them the pillars, and each of the pillars has clearly defined strategic objectives with expected outcome, as well as timelines and the key performance indicators that will be tracking as we progress. And let me quickly run you through the pillars. Top on that list is livestock value chain development and market access. We have the animal health and zoonosis control. We have feed and fodder development. We have peace building and security. We have women and youth in livestock. we have water management, we have livestock extension, finance and insurance, as well as data and information system. The livestock sector has huge untapped potentials, and under the leadership of the Honorable Minister of the Federal Minister of Livestock Development, and under the directive of Mr. President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, is working not just hard but smart to ensure that we provide an enabling environment for Nigerians to tap into these great potentials.
To formalize the policy and administrative machinery of the new ministry, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the 23rd October 2024 announced the appointment of First Minister of the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development, Idi Mukhtar, was screened and confirmed by the Senate on the 30th of October 2024, alongside 6 other ministerial nominees.
What is happening in the livestock industry directly impacts on the security of the nation. The killing of policemen, the killing of communities, the destruction of farmlands, and all sorts of things. He's saying 75%.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for the Honorable Minister of Livestock Development and his team. Thank you very much. For the want of time, we'll quickly take the second presentation, which will last for a period of 20 minutes as directed by our host. Please put your hands together as I invite to the podium the Honorable Minister of Regional Development, Engineer Abubakar Momo, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers.
The Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed M. Idris, the Honorable Minister of Livestock Development, Minister of State, Regional Development. Let me also acknowledge the presence of the 2 permanent secretaries of the Regional Development and the Ministry of Livestock. Also to be recognized, the Special Advisor on Media and Strategy, and also the Special Advisor on Communication. Let me also recognize the presence of the DGNTA and all other personalities that are here present. I welcome all of you. Whether I recognize you by name, every person here, including the press, will recognize all of you. First, standing before you, the Minister of Regional Development. Let me say in clear terms that I really don't know where to start from now because I'm wearing 2 faces. Because before now, I was the Minister of Niger Delta Development. But today, I am the Minister of Regional Development, and with me here is the Minister of State for Regional Development. But when I was invited, I was called upon to present an account of what we have been doing since we took over. Last year, it wasn't possible for me to make presentation because it got to my point when the whole exercise was aborted. So while coming here, I have to make sure that we have a detailed presentation that covers our activities from when I took over about 1.5 years ago till today. But let me also add that the Ministry of Regional Development, like the Minister of Information has said, is a very new ministry created on October 23, 2024. It's just about 2 months old. And the creation of the Ministry of Regional Development is more of an expansion of what we have before, which is the Ministry of Niger Delta Development. It is not entirely a new ministry, but it's a ministry whose scope has been expanded to accommodate new regional commissions that have been created. So far, 2 other new regional commissions, Northwest and Southeast, have been created. And
it is important to let you know that these two commissions were only inaugurated last week after the board had been constituted by Mr. President. We are also awaiting the constitution of the other board. So it is only upon the constitution of the other board that our activities will start in earnest in terms of the new mandate of the ministry as ministers of regional development. I'm trying to give this background because my talk will be centered more on what we have done so far in the Ministry of Niger Delta. But I also want to clarify one thing, because upon the announcement of the ministry in October, there was supposed to be an eruption in the Niger Delta region, stating that the Ministry of Niger Delta had been scrapped. But I quickly ran to one of our foremost leaders, who had just passed on, in the person of Pa Edwin Clark. And I was able to brief him extensively on what the new ministry is all about. And that is why the calm after such explanation was in the region. Otherwise, they were very much skeptical, believing that the Ministry of Niger Delta. I'm saying this to let the whole world know that the Ministry of Niger Delta is still there, is under the regional development. Just for the simple reason that new commissions have been created, and since the creation of the new commissions across the entire region, that name cannot fit in properly Niger Delta, because most of these commissions, they operate outside the Niger Delta region. I just feel I have to make this clarification so that by the time I'm talking, you know that I'm going to say more about Niger Delta, because for the past 1.5 years, our operations have been in the Niger Delta region. And it is only when the commissions are properly constituted and start operation that our own activity to supervise them will commence, because our role will be, which is the primary mandate, is to supervise these development commissions. And by the grace of God, those that have been inaugurated, we have already given them a clear cut, a roadmap of what they are going to do. Let me say that when we resumed last year, the first thing was to go around the entire Niger Delta region to see for ourselves the problems in this area. And we were able to visit critical stakeholders, including traditional rulers and a number of persons in the Niger Delta region. And you all recall that last year too, all the ministers, including myself, we signed a presidential bond on how we can go about our activities. And we also committed the sole agency under us then, which is NDDC, to sign a bond with the ministry to ensure that the 8 presidential priorities of Mr. President will be followed strictly. Let me also say that, like I said, when the ministry was established, that is the regional development, is to coordinate the activities of the regions. But before then, we were only to coordinate the activities of the Niger Delta region. Now that our mandate has expanded, what that means is that we have more responsibilities to handle. But one good thing is that before now, I was the only minister in charge. But today, 2 of us are in charge in the ministry. So, like I said, my presentation will be based more on Niger Delta. And like I said, before the creation of the Ministry of Regional Development, our major responsibility was centered on providing interventions towards improving the socio-economic well-being of the people in the Niger Delta region. With the new mandate, areas of focus, like I said, have extended beyond to coordinate and oversee, supervising all the established commissions across the country. So, like I said, we are going to talk more about 2023 to 2024. let us get the achievements. The major achievements of the ministry are centered in 5 major areas in the infrastructural development. One, let us go back to the infrastructure, please. In terms of infrastructural development, we speak to how we can develop and ensure that the road networks in our respective area are enhanced beyond what they are today. By the time we took over, we inherited a number of projects that were ongoing in the ministry in terms of road construction. And under the policy of the ministry, we are back on the reconstruction and completion of Belegolo-Ogri-Agbene Road, which is in Delta State. We also completed the rehabilitation of Okuala-Igurucha Road, Phase 1 in Imo State. And in addition, we also initiated projects in order to meet the infrastructural needs of the region. And such projects include the construction of Oron Road, Northeast, in Edo State. We also embarked on the construction of Leak Road with bridge in Imbese, Imo State. Other areas that we also focused on were the construction of Agbokin-Umbabon Road, Ikom local government in Cross River State. Then the construction of Biokwa Road, Odupani local government in Cross River. The construction of Ezihe, Onwimbo, Indichi, Idiato, Unuago local government, South local government road in Imo State. There are quite a number of other leaked roads that we embarked upon when we took over. Now we have commenced the process of awarding also major projects, about 8 major projects in the region, and they are waiting for FEC approval. I think in a matter of 1 week or 2, by the time the FEC commences, we're also going to construct a number of 8 roads within the ministry. Next. Under the 2023 appropriation, we also engaged in water supply project scheme. We also embarked on the construction of Oguta Community Water Scheme, that's Ogun Community Water Scheme in Warri. We also embarked on the construction of water scheme in Owerri Town in Imo State. There was also the provision of 1 number borehole and overhead and generating set and reticulation in Akwa Ibom State. We also had the construction of motorized borehole for communities in Oguta, Ohaji, Egbema, West in Imo State. All of this fell under the 2023 projects of the ministry. In 2024, we have also started the construction of 2 additional boreholes in Ilaje local government in Ondo State. We also provided power solar boreholes in Uweru village in Ugeli North local government. In areas of electricity infrastructure, we have also embarked on a number of projects in rural electricity in the Niger Delta area. One of which is BSA local government of Cross River, Obiakwa local government. We also talk of Etio in Elemen local government and Kana local government, all in Rivers State. These are areas we intervene in terms of provision of electricity in form of transformer and extension of high tensions to various communities. We also completed the installation of 257 number solar street lights across the region in 2023. Next. In 2024, we have also embarked on the construction of 7 number transformers in various communities and a 2.5 MVA in another community across the Niger Delta region in order to boost power sector in the region and boost economic activities. In the area of inland water development, we have also made inroads. And to harness the economic values of the waterways in the Niger Delta region, we have embarked on the design and construction of jetty projects for water transportation, such as the recently awarded contract for the construction of jetty at Agwobiri, Arogbo in Ilaje, Ese Odo local government in Edo State. We have also embarked on awarding of contract for the consultancy service for the proposed Niger Delta ferry transportation. I think it's very important to stress it because in the Niger Delta area, there are some communities that cannot even see road, no matter what you do. So in order for them to be interconnected with those in the hinterland, there are quite a number of rivers in those areas that can be dredged and then provide ferry services. So a contract consultancy service to this effect will be awarded to a consultant with a view to embark on ferry services in the Niger Delta region. I think in a very short time that will come to reality. In the face of the dwindling budgetary allocation for carrying out our planned activities, the ministry has adopted the public-private partnership to meet our needs. Like this transportation, that's ferry transport, we are going to embark on a PPP arrangement because that's the only way to go if we must make meaningful impact, because the annual budgetary allocation for the main ministry is nothing to write home about. In terms of other infrastructure, we have also embarked on the reconstruction of Owerri Elele Road, which was started before this administration, the dualization of Port Harcourt Aba Expressway. All these are major roads under the Ministry of Works, but all we do is to intervene, because if you leave the road in the state they are, waiting until the Ministry of Works intervene, we will have a lot of challenge in being able to pass through. The construction of Ogri-Agbene-Toru-Gbene Road, and also the construction of owner-free zone, Natural Afam in Imo Rivers. So I think all that you have said, I also presented in a pictorial view, such that you can see some of these achievements that we have just measured to you right now. So they are all in pictorial view. So these are some of the issues that we have just talked about. So I think for a second, go to the next slide. Next. 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 Thank you. Like I said, the ministry will operate through departments. All that I've said is within the Department of Infrastructure. We also have Housing Department, which is charged with the responsibility of housing needs of the region. By the time we took over, we met a number of mega skill acquisition centers that are at various stages of completion. But what we observed is that most of these skill acquisition centers, they were without framework of management. That the few that were completed, they were already overgrown by weeds. So when we came, we now took a policy to the effect that such projects have to be handed over to federal government agencies that are in need of them. And so far, about 2 or 3 of such mega projects have been handed over to some federal government agencies, like the one in Imo State. The one in Ondo State is currently under discussion with the Federal Ministry of Youth, so that they want to use the mega skill acquisition for their own youth activities. So all of these skill acquisition centers, we are also going to complete all of them and also hand them over to government agencies that can manage them, because the ministry is not charged with that responsibility of management. Then under the ministry or the Department of Housing too, we have what we call quick win projects, such as classroom blocks, high city centers, and health centers. We have them across the entire region. Provision of ICT skill development CTB center in Eket, which was done at the cost of 160 million. The rehabilitation and construction and equipping of 20-bed maternal hospital in Ukana, and a host of others. They are all there. So I think we will provide the press with all this information for proper recording. We also have other areas that we have intervened, not only in the terms of housing, in terms of economic empowerment, because today you notice that there's relative peace in the Niger Delta region, and that is the major achievement of our ministry, is to ensure that there is peace. There is relative peace today in the Niger Delta because of the way and manner we have engaged them, engaged the stakeholder, and also carry out empowerment programs. Last year, about 300 youths were trained and empowered with a starter pack of about 250,000 each. This year, about 1,000 youths have been marked to be trained across the 9 states of the Niger Delta region. And in a moment from now, in another 1 week, all of those people that have been shortlisted will be trained, and after the training, they will be given the sum of 250,000 as their starter pack to commence their business. Also, in the area of community development and education, we have also embarked on a number of projects in terms of classroom blocks and also free medical treatment. And recently, we just rounded up a free medical treatment in Edo State, where a number of people were treated free, no payment, nothing. And a lot of surgery, fibro surgery, eye surgery, dental surgery, and all, name it, and both a clinical examination. They were carried out free. And it's a major activity that we embark upon. And all of this are geared towards maintaining peace in the region. Because if there's turbulence in the Niger Delta region, it will negatively affect the economy of the nation. And that is why, since we came on board, our major commitment is to ensure that we do all those things that will be able to bring peace in the region. So, Honorable Minister, please, I think you will just give me a few minutes to also run through some of our major activities in the Niger Delta region. Like I said, we have been operating through the ministry and NDDC. And the bulk of the money to develop the Niger Delta is in NDDC. So perhaps it's also important for us to know a little of what that agency has been able to achieve in the recent time. Because there have been a lot of misconception about the NDDC. But I want to say that since this current management of NDDC came on board, there have been a lot of transformation. Reason being that we were charged by the president to ensure that those major projects scattered all over in the Niger Delta region, started well over 20 years ago, should be completed. That was the first charge given to us by Mr. President. And upon resumption of work, we ensured that the management and the board, they work together in harmony to ensure that these projects are completed. And I want to assure you that since then, a number of projects, major projects, have been completed by NDDC. For instance, last year, we were there to commission the road project from Ogbia to Nebe of about 25 kilometers in the heart of the Niger Delta region. And this road, apart from the lead, it has a number of bridges and culverts, about 53 culverts and several bridges. But one important thing people don't even know is that the cost of construction in the Niger Delta region is very, very high. Well, if it takes you 5 billion to construct a road in the upland area, be looking at ×3 of that, because first you have to survey to reclaim the land before you start to do actual construction. There's no provision for you to even go and bring a topsoil or rather lateric soil to do your soil base. Everything may be sharp sand and mixed with cement. So it's a lot of cost. And those of you who are engineers, you know what I'm saying. So I think also last year we were able to commission local government of Edo State. As I'm talking to you now, a number of major projects are going on in the Niger Delta region. I'm from Edo State. For the past 5 years, if I wanted to travel from Auchi to Benin, I had to pass through Ondo State via Ifo because the major road was completely not written off. So this year, I gave a marching order to the MD that this road, at least the bad spot, must be fixed. As I'm talking to you, the Ayere axis up to Ekpoma is now being motorable. And that's where my people pass through these days. It's also important to note that the Ministry of Work is also intervening in the Ekpoma axis of that road because the road is completely bad. And the state government too is also intervening from Benin to Iho in that axis. So these projects, major projects that NDDC has embarked upon in the last 1 year. There are quite a number. For instance, their free medical service is one of the best you can think of. Last year, they embarked on free medical service to all the 9 states in the region. More than 32,000 people were treated free in various ailments, ranging from operation, fibroid, name it. And it's something that majority of our people in the Niger Delta region have been giving testimony. Beyond that, the NDDC has a scholarship scheme. That scholarship scheme is to train people in the science abroad for master degree program. Every year, not less than 250 embark on that free scholarship. For the past 2 years that we came aboard, 450 have been trained, and they are about to start that of 2025. Apart from that, when we now discover that there is the problem of youth restiveness and unemployment is raging very high, the NDDC also embarked on what we call internship scheme. The internship scheme is to engage the youth for 1 year in vocational activity in various organizations. And the NDDC will pay them a minimum of 50,000, and about 10,000 have been engaged in this internship this year. And it's going to be a continuous exercise. So, in fact, there are quite a number of other activities that NDDC have intervened that, of course, before now, quite a number of people don't know. And I think it is very important, it's good that we also meet in this type of program. For instance, their U-Lesson program is also something to speak about. Because so far, about 5,000 U-tablets have been given out, and they have another 40,000 to be given out to various schools in the Niger Delta region. So all these activities are done in order to reduce youth restiveness and to ensure that our people get the benefit of the oil they produce. So having said all this, and now that I'm told that my time is up, I want to say that at this juncture, I have to commend the President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for not only deeming it necessary to create the Ministry of Regional Development, so that development will be brought to the grassroots. I think by the time the development commissions start, we see massive development across the 6 regions of Nigeria. That is the purpose for which these commissions are created. Although I will not be in charge of the fund in those agencies, but they will strictly supervise and monitor to ensure that the right is done in accordance with what the President's vision is. We will not allow them to go the way of token projects and the rest of them. I've already told them, even during the inauguration, I told the people of Southeast Development Commission, I said, you are favored even by geographical location. We want to see projects in a very short time where you will be connecting the major city of the Southeast with rail line. Those are the kind of projects we want. We want to see mega projects. We say, okay, I want to construct regional hospital. I want to construct regional this. Not come and tokenize some of these projects, so that you bring a project that would have used 5 billion to do. You say you will now split it into pieces. At the end of the day, you will not see anything. So I think the regional commissions will be charged with the responsibility of facing those things that are not being done by the state and the local government. Not necessary to compete with the state and local government on those areas that they already have their responsibility. So once again, I have to thank you and thank the audience for listening to me, and thank the Minister of Information for giving us this opportunity, to thank our team, the Permanent Secretary, the Minister of State, and all others that have been assisting us to do what we have done so far. Thank you very much.
I believe the Honorable Minister deserves a resounding round of applause. I have used every trick in the book to signal time up, but in order for them not to chase me from my own state, I have to respect myself. Please, a round of applause once again for the Honorable Minister. Thank you very much, especially to recognize the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Niger Delta Development Commission here with us. We have Chief Samuel Obuku, PhD. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you for coming. To save the time, very distinguished members of the press, we also have in our midst the Director General of the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, Dr. Bulama, is with us this morning. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you for joining us. All right, to save the time for those of us here, okay, I've just been reliably informed that the Director General of the Voice of Nigeria is also here with us, Malam Jibri Baba Ndate. And also, I've been informed that the Managing Director or the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Press Council, Mr. Dili Ezuga, is also here with us. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you very much for joining us. For the sake of time, we'll quickly dive into the question and answer section. This is where we'll entertain questions from the members of the press. I want to believe we are all familiar with the ground rules. You identify yourself, the media house you write for, and you go straight to your question. The Honorable Minister has directed that we take the first 30 questions, after which we can entertain 3 others. So I will start from this side. The gentleman over there, for gender balance, the lady sitting close to him, and then the gentleman on brown. At the second section, we'll pick up the rest. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Ministers, my name is Dr. Lee Onusigbe. I should come back. Okay. Okay. I'm the Abuja Bureau Chief of the Nigerian Tribune. And my question goes to the Minister of Livestock Development. Sir, you emphasize modernization through technology and structured grazing reserves. But you also talk about digitizing cattle routes nationwide. So does this not imply that nomadic cattle rearing will continue in the country despite your modernization efforts? Or how do you reconcile the approaches? Additionally, many cattle rearers, particularly among Fulanins in the country, they justify their nomadic lifestyle using cultural practices. So what steps are you taking to encourage them to adopt modern means of animal husbandry? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The second person, the lady beside you.
Good afternoon, honorable ministers. I am Dr. Onoche Bridget, and I am the Bureau Chief of the Guardian newspaper. Yes, still on cattle rearers and grazing reserves. I heard what you said about policies towards implementing sustainable management of ranches and grazing reserve. But I want to ask you, in the meantime, before these policies are implemented, what a short-term solution do you have to the menace of cattle rearers across the country? I am from Delta State, a community in Delta State, and we are substantial farmers. I want to tell you that for some weeks, my people have not gone to the farms. Even when they do, they plant the crops, but these cattle rearers harvest the crops. They don't get their yams, they don't get their cassava. Now they have constituted a threat to their lives, and they no longer go to farm. They no longer go to their farm. So I want to ask you, how do we arrest this situation? Why you try to implement the long-term policies? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then we take the third one for this session.
Thank you. My name is Anayo Chukwabo. I write for Tel Magazine. My two colleagues have already started what I wanted to say. So, Honorable Commissioner or Minister, my question is, you've talked about strategic vision and then what you will do in the process, but there appear to be some contradictions. For instance, you've told us about digitization, which is technology, and then you say you are doing ear tags for cattle. And then doing ear tags for cattle is to make it possible for these cattle to be traced, assuming they get lost. But we're still talking about strategic vision, where you want Nigeria to be where other countries are in terms of livestock farming. Don't you consider this contradictory when you appear to be developing the ability of cows to move around, and you are still talking about digitalization? And then you are talking about tagging cattle routes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, you may wish to respond. Thank you.
Thank you for these genuine concerns. Number one came from Dr. Isigwe, my friend from the Friendly Tribune, which is similar to the last speaker from Tel Magazine, regarding the seeming contradiction between development of grazing reserves where livestock will be sedentarized, and then tagging, as well as digitalization of the cattle routes. Now, these dualities will have to continue for some time. We are doing digitization of the cattle routes to know where they are, who is using them, and whether there are encroachments on those cattle routes. Now, the cattle routes are of two types. There is one we consider of international cattle corridor. We receive a lot of livestock from our neighbors. We are the biggest market in Africa. We receive cattle as far as from Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo, Cameroon, Chad, Niger, etc., etc. These cattle routes they lead inside this country. What is absent today, and we have started taking inventory, they also link up to the internal cattle routes, and all of them end in designated grazing reserves. So you can see the cattle routes do not just end nowhere. So we want to digitize them as well as the international cattle routes, so that for the international cattle routes, we will put border control posts for disease, international boundary disease control. It is on record that the first cases of anthrax were imported in this country from our neighbors. If we have had control posts from these international cattle routes, we would be in the position to arrest that situation. As of today, the ECOWAS protocol established in 1979 has not been invoked, and we are looking at that. We are going to create veterinary control posts in all of these cattle routes. We have started taking inventory from Adamawa, Borno, Yobe, Katsina, Kano, that's Maigatari, down to Niger State. So this is very, very important. So there's no contradiction there. These cattle routes will be used for some time, but they all end up in grazing areas. So it is very, very important. We know how many cattle are supposed to come. The ECOWAS protocol provides for number and timing. Cattle are supposed to come into this country after the harvest of farms, so that they can go to, eat the farm residue. That has to be controlled. Number two, the number of animals to be allowed into the country by permission, written permission, is also going to be determined. At the moment, these do not happen. This is what we mean by that statement. Secondly, the issue of ranches, the issue of tagging. Tagging is key and is important in the animal, when you are doing about livestock, because you want to know how many animals you have in your ranch. In case of disappearance in whatever form, you should be able to trace those animals and recover them. But beyond that, today, issue of traceability in terms of public health is very, very important. What we are trying to do, and this will come to happen, because I am criminally optimistic. I don't fear any challenges in front of me, particularly when it comes to livestock. It is doable. It is doable. We should be able to trace every piece of meat you buy from the grocery, for reasons of health that borders on public safety. What we are going to do, we will link up all ranches that are coming up in this country to designated abattoirs. Each ranch will be dedicated to an abattoir. So we know the history of the animal, we know the medication, we have the record. This animal will have an antenatal inspection before slaughter, meat inspection, meat certification, and then you come to buy. So once you are eating your meat, you know from which farm it is coming. And that is the international standard, because we want to aim at the international market. As of today, we are having very, very strong commitment from the Middle East. And therefore, we should be in the position to say, look, this piece of meat you have came from so farm. So we can trace it. We know the management husbandry practices. We know the animals, hygienic standards of the abattoir. Therefore, you can trace it. The issue of ranches, we are doing a lot of stakeholder engagement. And very soon in March, we are going to invite all the pastoral organizations in this country. We have met them as I've been traveling, but we want to invite all the leadership here, so that we communicate the intentions of this ministry and how we are going to work together with them. We also want to get feelers from them. We are not going to impose any solution on them. We are going to work out the solution for them on how to remodel the abattoirs. This will continue for some time, but again, what is happening today is very, very unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate. When it borders on security, there is an overlap between what we do. We are not a security organization. Ours is to come with non-kinetic measures to silence the guns. We don't carry guns. We come with non-kinetic measures in terms of sensitization and taking practical steps to make sure that that survival mechanism of a herder having to attack a farm doesn't exist, because we will encourage him to go into pasture cultivation so that he can be self-sufficient in fodder for his animals. And how do we do that? By improving the productivity of this animal. If he has 100 animals that can only give him 90 liters, we will give him 3 animals that can give him 100 liters. And these animals today are found in this country. Each animal can give you 30 liters. So you have 3 animals that can give you 100 liters instead of having 100 animals that can give you 90 liters. So that is where we are going. And I believe that is the trajectory that many other countries today have gone, and it is doable. Because we have practical examples in this country, we will create models for them to go and see so that our local indigenous cattle will be upgraded genetically to provide the meat and meat required for this country. So therefore what is happening is unfortunate, but we need to sensitize people and then let us de-emotionalize about cattle, about livestock. This is money, this is part of national repository of protein. 60% of the cattle in this country are imported. Our national herd today is about between 29, 30, 58 million. If you have abattoirs all over the country, we will eat up this animal in less than 3 years. If we get into serious local processing and export. So therefore it is our intention in the ministry to quadruple the number of animals we have in the next 5 years. From 158 million ruminants, we want to go beyond that. From $32 billion livestock industry, we want to get to 74 billion in the next 5 years. This is what we are looking for. So we have to work across the board. Genetic improvement, health management, pasture and fodder, as well as peace building between everybody. These are our own animals. So let us de-emotionalize about cattle. People poisoning animals, doing this, doing that. We are just harming ourselves. This is our own national stock. Take ownership. We move together and make it happen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much. So we'll take the second trench, which is the last 3 questions. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. The lady is the second person, and then this third one. So the first person there. Please keep your questions short and sweet. Him. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Collins Nabife. I work with Nigerian Tribune. My question goes to the Minister of Livestock Development. So I've followed some of the activities you've been doing recently, and I found out that it's also what have been done in the past by the Department of Animal Husbandry. I want to know, in terms of sustainability and of these projects, are you carrying along what has been done in the livestock, in the animal husbandry department, or are you doing a fresh project on this, like the issue of on feed and fodder? It has been done and it's been going on at the Ministry of Agriculture. Then that was under the Department of Animal Husbandry. Are you doing a total project, or is this kind of like a continuity or sustainability of the previous projects? Thank you very much.
Thank you. The lady is the second, and then we have the third person here.
Thank you so much. I am Princess Ekwi Ajide of the Anambra Broadcasting Service. My question will be to the Minister of Regional Development. Sir, during your presentation, you out so many success stories of your ministry, but there are so many Nigerians that are eagerly waiting to see how these initiatives have impacted positively. So, sir, I want you to tell us categorically how these initiatives has impacted on the life of the common Nigerian, especially in my community where so many of us are already, we are facing a whole lot of hardship. Please, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. And the third person is here. The third person is here? No, sorry, the third person is here. Thank you.
Thank you. I have 2 questions.
Please, your name and your medium.
My name is Emeka Wampa. I published Nigerian Spokesman magazine. 2 questions. The first one to the Minister of Livestock Development, my good friend that I met just a few days ago at the office of the National Security Advisor.
To the question.
Now, the colleague from Nigerian Tribune asked a question regarding where you have taken off, knowing that a part of what you're doing was domiciled in Ministry of Agric. Sir, we have information that bureaucracy, that you are contending with some bureaucracy in taking off. Can you confirm that, sir?
All right. That's a question.
My second question to the Minister of Regional Development. Sir, you spoke eloquently about your ministry and the expansion of your mandate. Sir, interventionist programs, platforms in the past has been a bane of development at that level. Now that your ministry has been expanded to run through other geopolitical zones, how do you assure Nigerians that you are going to drive this vision of Mr. President of even development across the country, that this ministry will not end up as Federal Ministry of Regional Settlement? Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. That will be the last question for this session. Honorable Minister, you may wish to respond.
Sorry, gentlemen of the press, before the response of the honorable ministers, I need to make this clear that the ministry has 2 ministers here, the honorable minister himself and the honorable minister of state. I'm talking about the Ministry of Regional Development. Now, only one minister talks to press at one time. However, if there are clarifications or comments that the Minister of State may wish to make, he has the liberty to do so in, say, 3 minutes maximum. Please, we are managing time. Let us keep the questions and comments straight. And I also implore my colleagues to go straight to the answer so that we can live here as scheduled. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. So we can respond to the questions. Honorable Minister of Livestock.
Okay, thank you. There are 2 concerns, one from my very good friend from Tribune and the other from another very good friend who's writing for Sports Magazine, I suppose. One is talking about feed and fodder that was done under the Ministry of Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. There's continuum in government. There's continuum, and we have inherited all those programs that are livestock related. And the talents that came from there, I don't call them workers, I call them talents, because I have a lot of talents in my ministry. And therefore, we are leveraging on that. However, we are going to upscale up to the national level what has been done there in respect of livestock. There were only 2 departments then, and today we have 7 technical departments fully blown to cover the whole gamut of livestock value chain. And therefore, we are going to drill down further and make sure that fodder cultivation becomes a key commercial component in this country. Not just for those who have livestock as a vocation. You can go to a bank with a good business plan, go to a state governor to give you land, we will support you so that you can go into pasture cultivation. So this is it. At the moment, we have written about 13 letters to subnational governments requesting for pieces of land where we can massively cultivate fodder for our animal resources. We are also talking with the polytechnics of this country who have spare unutilized land across the country so that those lands can be brought for livestock and pasture cultivation. So this is what we are doing, and we are encouraging anybody who wants to go into pasture cultivation, commercial, to talk to us. We can do the hand-holding so that you can also get into business to do pasture cultivation. In fact, there are opportunities today in the Middle East to export grasses from Nigeria to the Middle East. You are invited. Please key in. Now, talking about bureaucracy. Like I said, we have talents in my ministry. In the short period, we have worked together. We have bonded, and we have a shared vision, and we have a goal, and that's where we are going. So in my ministry, in our ministry, with apology, it's not my ministry, it is our ministry. We have already bonded, we know each other, we have broken protocols, we are defying gravity, we are going to break new bounds. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of Regional Development.
Thank you very much. First, let me go to the first person, that's my assistant from Honorable Broadcasting Service. Thank you for the compliment. And your question is how the initiatives so far back upon by the ministry are imparting on the people. First, when I was making my speech, I tell you that the ministry is charged with the responsibility to coordinate the activities of the region, that's Niger Delta region. And I made it clear to you what we've been able to do from the end of the ministry and from the NDDC, which also acknowledge good initiatives. But let me make it clear to you. I'm sure for the past 1 year, you will agree with me that there's really relative peace in the Niger Delta region. You must have been hearing of crises here and there. That is what the ministry is all about, to ensure that there's peace in that region so that oil can continue to flow and we continue to have money. If you want to tell me how have this achievement impacted on the people, I think the best thing is to go to the various communities that these projects have been done for and ask them, how far definitely, if you construct a road to a community that before now they don't have road, are they not going to feel happy? If you train people on certain vocations, and at the end of the day, you give them money to embark on such activities on which they are trained, will they not be happy for it all? So I think all that we have said, the people are quite happy, and if we visit some of these communities, they are always appreciative of what has been done. And I also told you all that the NDDC has done in that region, because NDDC is the main agency we have before now that has the resources to intervene in a very huge manner, and I have catalogued before you all that they have done. Are you going to tell me that 5 local governments that did not have electricity for 50 years, suddenly they now have electricity, has not impacted on them? And I also told you that during that period, the governor of the state gave a testimony that he was a member of the board when the project started, that he was happy under his reign as a governor that this project was being commissioned. And yet you're asking me how this is impact? I don't know what else you want from me. So quite a number. It's like you now, you have somebody in your family, if you are from Niger Delta, and is picked to go for overseas training, and the person has gone for master program, and the person has completed his or her study. A number of people have been calling me to thank me. So I think on that, the people are quite happy. Then the second person, Emeka, you saw talk of whether the Federal Ministry of Regional Development is not going to be a Federal Ministry of Regional Settlement. How? I want to say how. I made it clear. That is why towards the end of my speech, I told you that the ministry as it is today, we have two ministers. I have a minister and a minister of state. We have a permanent secretary. Our role is supervisory. The whole money you are hearing is in the Ministry of Regional Development, her domicile in those commissions. And in those commissions, you have management team, you have a board. There are going to be a lot of checks and balances. That is where we come in as supervisory ministry. Thank God they are going to grow up with us. There will be no room for any settlement. So if you know in the past there is any of the agencies that have been settling, I want to ask you a question. For the past 1 year, if you have heard of any of those agencies or that also have been engaging in settlement, come and report to me, because I have made it clear to them, those that we have inaugurated so far, that in fact we read a riot act. If you don't perform, if you do not go according to the mandate given to you and in line with the vision of Mr. President, it means your job is gone. We will not hesitate to recommend the revocation of your appointment to Mr. President. So for that purpose, I do not see any of this regional commission that will be a settlement agency, because all eyes are on them and we expect them to perform. So if the Minister of State has anything to add to that, I think he's free to make a comment. Thank you.
Our host, Minister of Information and National Orientation, Honorable Minister of Livestock Development, Special Advisors, here present, Permanent Secretaries, Directors General, good afternoon. Yes, we are two ministers in the Ministry of Regional Development, but with very clear mandates. I oversee the commissions on my side, and he does commissions on his side. So I'll give a brief update on what we've been doing through the commissions on our side. That is the Northeast Development Agency. By the way, we have 3 commissions. One was just populated or created last week or so, and the other was put together about a week or 2 ago. That is the Northwest Development Commission. But they haven't really taken off. They are in the process of taking off. But let me speak on the one that has been on ground for some time, and that is the Northeast Development Commission. Incidentally, we just got back to Abuja on Wednesday from a road trip we took, designed specifically to follow the money. We went alongside journalists, your colleagues, to all major project sites in Borno State. We started from Borno for a purpose, because we believe, being the epicenter of the insurgency and the reason why the commission was created in the first place, we went there to see what they've been able to do in the 6 years they have been running the commission. And I make bold to say that we are satisfied. We, in direct connection with the question a gentleman asked a few minutes ago, whether we are going to see to Mr. President's vision. That is our vision also. And I want to assure you that under our watch, just like the Honorable Minister stated, we went to see roads. Some of you would have forgotten Zabarmari, where many farmers were slaughtered by the insurgents about 3 years ago. Mr. President graciously approved and built a road directly connecting the farming communities. You will be marveled to see the quality of work and how that area has been transformed in 2 years. It's there for you to verify. From Ngom, where there are 1,000 housing projects standing, commissioned, funded by NEDC, we went also to see the Jere Bowl, which has been opened up for irrigation and many other farming activities. You see livestock, well-fed, cocooned in one environment with security manned by soldiers. Those are the kind of projects the NEDC is executing. The National Burn Center at the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital is one other project that is there. We also visited a farmer-grade drugs cooling store funded by the NEDC. The NEDC also bought dredgers, world-class dredgers from China to dredge canals and waterways around the Lake Chad region to make farming and open up the waterways for irrigation easier. Those are just a few of some of the projects we are doing, and I believe as responsible journalists, we follow the money. It is your responsibility to also follow the projects to confirm and make sure that we are working tirelessly to make sure that we deliver on the promises Mr. President made to the nation, and there will be no mistakes, no missing of the roads on delivering of the mandate on renewed hope of Mr. President's renewed hope project. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you, His Excellency Uba Megari Akbatu. Honorable Minister, you may please wish to draw the curtain.
Well, thank you, my colleagues, gentlemen of the press, my colleagues on this table, the Honorable Minister of Niger Delta, Honorable Minister of State Niger Delta, Minister of Livestock Development, Permanent Secretaries, Special Advisor Information and Strategy, Special Advisor Communication, Mr. Sunday Dare, and all the Directors General and Directors here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming. I want to also tell you that this is not a one-off thing, like I've said in my opening remarks. We'll continue to bring ministers to talk to you, to explain to you what they are doing, and you have the liberty to ask them questions, all in the interest of understanding what government is doing for our people. So it's a date for us again. Next week we'll have a set of ministers who will come here and explain to you. Until then, we want to thank you most sincerely, and please, my parting shot, report responsibly in the interest of our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Oh, please rise as we take the first stanza of the national anthem. Sing at the count of 2 if the media is already. Thank you very much. Thank you.